YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, back in Total War Rome 2. And I am going to bring back something that I haven't done in a long time, which I guess is a faction focus. This isn't going to be wildly in-depth, but it'll just kind of give you an overview, and maybe we'll spend some other time going more deeply into the faction. So I want to start off with Cimmeria, which is one of the factions that was added in the Black Sea Colonies DLC. And so with Cimmeria, they have some interesting, unique units. The most interesting one to me is this Cimmerian Noble Infantry, which is basically a hoplite unit. However, when it comes to elite hoplites, these guys do not have as much armor, and their defense is it's okay, and their charge bonus is okay. Now, good melee attack. They do have hoplite wall, and the things they have going for them are this expert charge defense. And, of course, they encourage other ones. And then their price isn't too bad for a unit that delivers this much wallop. So, not a bad unit. They also have this other unit here that you may have seen if you used a campaign before with one of the steppe factions. This is just a steppe spearman. Very crappy spearman. Not really sure how or if this thing will play any role. Great bonus versus large, but that's if it survives for more than 5 seconds. Otherwise, the only other unique unit they have is the Scythian Hoplite, which is kind of a mid-tier Hoplite, and for the price, this is not a bad unit. That just don't expect much attack and damage-wise. This is more of a holding force than anything, and that's what you'd want to use it for. Now, from their general, you can choose from a Noble Horse Archer or the Cimmerian Noble Infantry. Both could be potentially useful. This is a safe pick. This one would be one where maybe you could try to use your general for some damage and then get into melee afterwards, as these people, or as these guys have some great melee attack. Your only melee infantry is Young Axes, not very good, but just from a supporting standpoint, if they get into the flank of an enemy unit or in a rear charge, they will be somewhat useful. Don't expect them to do much versus elite units, but if you're fighting off mid-tier sword units or spear units, something like that, they could be useful. You'd probably want to upgrade them some, as this base morale of 25 is pretty crappy. I mean, you can take one of these units, drop a lot of upgrades on there, and it still won't cost very much. Yeah, so let's see, cost 30 per upgrade, so that's 220, 250, 280. So yeah, I mean 310, 340, and 370. You get that. I mean, you could just take it on up, add some more in there. I mean, not going to make them wildly good by any means because they don't have much armor, but I mean, this is a unit you could potentially put some upgrades on that might be useful. Now, let's take a look at the last few units. So from a cavalry standpoint, these guys are weak with cavalry, very weak. They're going to have these steppe lancers, which good for rear charge, kind of, but they're very light, which means that their mass doesn't impart that much damage. Very low melee defense, very low armor, pretty good health, all things considered, but not very good for cavalry, and their morale's bad. You definitely want to drop upgrades on these guys if you're going to use them. If you're looking for something slightly more stable, the Citizen Cav would be the way to go, or just bring Armored Horse Archers. They have just as good a melee attack and are basically just a better unit in general, so you may want to just consider bringing Armored Horse Archers rather than either of these melee Cav. That'll be up to you. They have these Steppe Horse Archers, Armored Horse Archers, and Noble Horse Archers. Now, that's pretty much a quick overview of this faction. I have missed a couple of things. Steppe Archers. This was a unit I've been clamoring for a while to be added to the game. I was kind of hoping they would add it to the Steppe factions, but it's okay. It's here. It's a decent unit. Should be in multiplayer. It'll add some fun. And then the Cimmerian Heavy Archers are a cool unit too. They say that they're also good in melee. Meh, not really, but they have 55 health and 35 armor, which means that there's finally something out there that might be able to put a challenge up to the Cretans. So that's what this unit is. So the Cimmerians are going to come with excellent archers should they choose to use them. And one last unit that's very interesting. I've heard some people claiming that these guys might be OP already. These picked Peltist. I don't really see how this unit would be OP just as yet, but we're very new in the patch, and I'm kind of a big fan of let's not come out and call things OP too soon. If I've done it before, then I was wrong when I did it. I think the best behavior to do is just to come in, try stuff out, figure it out, give it some time, let's kind of get a feel for it, and just make sure that we don't have like a knee-jerk reaction to any of it. But great missile damage, fantastic health, and morale, very good armor for a skirmisher, and then they have extra ammunition as well. And I was curious about Pontic Peltis, if they were the same. I couldn't remember, so let's take a look just real quick. Pontic Peltis do not have the extended ammunition, and their morale is lower. Or no, their morale's lower as well as their health. So these guys are better than Pontic Peltis, though they do cost a good bit more. They are a legitimate melee unit once they've run out of ammo, except that they can't go into tight formation, which is kind of a problem. Anyway, let's check out a replay, because I do have a replay for you. So you can see the Cimmerians in action. And if you're wanting to see him in campaign, Lionheart has a legendary campaign going with, I think he's gutsier than I am. There's no way in the world I would pick them for a legendary campaign. I tested around with Rome on legendary, and their infantry is insane, and it was still difficult. Now, right off the bat, just honestly watching this video over again as if I was in the complete third person assessing my own performance, I would question, why did you bring this army? Like, why did you bring these foot archers when you could have brought horse archers? Would be my first question to myself, and it's a good question. Now, my core is the Cimmerian Noble Infantry. That's probably a good idea. I'm coming up against Massalia, and Massalia is also going to have an infantry corps. We'll do a special faction focus on them, but here you get a little sneak preview of them. They were the free faction that was added. And I did bring 4 of these Step Lancers with decent upgrades, mainly just to get their morale up, and I was thinking, hey, they'll be okay on the charge. Might be a useful tool. And then I brought 2 picked Peltas just to kind of lead out on my line. If my opponent had skirmishers, these guys were going to soak them up. The Massalians do have access to Celtic Bowmen, which I think have taken a range increase to maybe make them more useful. Now, he does have 4 Tarentine Cav. These could be potentially annoying. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on them. And then his general is in a Massalian Cav, which is a light Cav unit with pretty nice stats for a light Cav. And then he's got these 4 Celtic warriors over here. Pretty good pick, and they have upgrades to make them slightly more potent, which again, may not be a bad idea. Alright, let's go ahead and fast forward. As you can see, this battle actually does take some time, and we'll just kind of watch the overhead and see how it plays out. So yeah, I would suggest if you're going to use Cimmeria, bring the mobile skirmishing power, especially on a map like this that's open. If you're on a map with a lot of force, you may want to just focus on more hoplites. But again, these guys aren't going to be an infantry power. And don't go maybe getting confused that the Cimmerian Noble Infantry is going to be like the RDAI Noble Hoplites. That was kind of the assumption that I made. I didn't really look real closely at their stats. The big difference is the Noble Hoplites, I think maybe have a little lower attack. I'd have to go look, but they have way higher armor. And that's a big deal in a long grind-out fight. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and charge my opponent. I've got 3 of these Cimmerian Noble Infantry, but this is a Scythian Hoplite, and I think this is kind of a mistake. I should have held it in reserve and just sent forward all my Cimmerian Noble Infantry, again, the 2 Hoplites in reserve, because my Noble Infantry are going to be better. Now, this is a good move by my opponent. See how his lines here, like his guys that are in Hoplite phalanx, and his Thurio Spears are able to hit my guys in the flank because I overlapped his line. This is not a bad way to play, and it basically turns your Thurio Spears into skirmishers that can potentially cause some pretty good damage. Now, they're not getting a ton of kills, but, hey, I mean, hit point damage, all that stuff plays in. And I'm trying to see here, so he's got these Massalian Hoplites, and I saw these guys, and if you look at their stats, they do have 90 armor, 65 health, 65 base morale. So that's not bad at all either. That's more armor, but slightly less attack than what my guys have. So that'll be a long fight. These Celtic warriors over here, I'm going to engage with my Cimmerian Noble Infantry. I'm not using my bows too fantastically yet. I am trying to get some kills on them, and I've gotten a few kills. And I'm going to leave a picked Peltas unit back here to guard from these Tarentine Cav. Now, again, this is kind of a mistake. I should have left 1 more Cav unit and just taken 1 around the flank. And then this was an accident here as well. I didn't mean to charge my Step Lancers into the back of my own men. My general's not faring too well here, and it's probably because of the javelins coming off those Thurio Spears. But I mean, I'm getting some kills. The biggest problem is like the Scythian Hoplite here was overmatched, and it got rear charged. I didn't support it properly. So I am going to go ahead and shoot these Celtic warriors in the back, and I should be able to, for the most part, kill them. But the Scythian Hoplite wasn't able to hold out like the Noble Infantry probably would have, and didn't do a lot of damage versus the Massalian Hoplites. And again, his Thurio Spears have managed to get some kills here and there, which are very useful. Considering they haven't even engaged in melee combat, they've all gotten a great number of kills, which again demonstrates the versatility of this. And here's the mistake. See, my opponent just split right around my picked Peltas, and is going to get into my Step Archers, who have no chance in a melee versus Tarentine Cav. So huge blunder here on my part not to leave one of these Step Lancers. In fact, I sent them to do rear charges, and then got caught up in this and forgot to micromanage him. So I haven't really done a whole lot. I ran a rear charge into his general here, and nearly killed his general, but lost quite a few of my men. Killing his general honestly wouldn't make a huge difference here. But these rear charges will help try and turn around this fight, fortunately for me, and keep my general around. And my pick peltis will make good and destroy these 2 Tarantine Cav, but the 2 Tarantine Cav managed to kill 4 units of Steppe Archers, basically. Not entirely, these 2 will probably come back. And that's a pretty cost-effective trade there. And look at this, Tarantine Cav and Celtic Warriors, they're all going to come after my picked Peltist. And you would think, oh, these Peltists are done for. Not picked Peltist. They'll actually do quite well in this fight. Those Tarantine Cav really don't stand a chance against them. And you can see that these picked Peltists are already over 100 kills. And it's just going to keep going up. So he decides to pull his Celtic Warriors away from there. He probably could have left them, but I think he feels the need to get in here and rear charge some of my hoplites, which is a good idea. These are just Scythian hoplites, and you can see that their morale was already dropping. But yeah, anyway, my picked Peltist will take care of these guys, and then I've got my Axemen who managed to actually come in and get some kills, and I'm going to flank charge these Massalian hoplites. Not a very good flank charge, though. I should have gotten clear around them, and that would have been a huge help, rather than coming in the way I did. But I am trying to bring my infantry or my cavalry around for some rear charges. My opponent's chasing them, though, and I have to kind of be careful where I rear charge. And then I didn't realize my archers had come back from routing, but I will pull them back into the fight. Overall, though, my Cimmerian noble infantry is tanking for a really long time. It's not getting a particularly large number of kills, and my opponent accidentally gets his general caught up in this combat, and his general will die here, which is good for me, but again, a lot of his units are disciplined, so it won't be the end of the world for him. Up to 130 kills in this picked Peltis unit. That's fantastic so far. Yep, there goes the Massalian general, and I'm just looking for rear charges here with these Steppe Lancers, but these guys are not getting as many kills as I'd like because they're very light, and the infantry they're charging is very heavy with good morale. So you'll see the guys get knocked over, but it just won't be as devastating as if they were a heavier unit. And I have to get out fairly quick because my guy's melee defense is so low. And you can see there, almost no effect on that cav charge. Some of the charges these guys land are effective, others are not. So my Cimmerian noble infantry just got outflanked. I'm going to try and bring in a rear charge to finish off these hoplites, and this one will be successful because they were already severely weakened. And I'm going to leave my guys in there for a moment just so they can finish that unit, and they do finish the unit. So that was actually effective. My Steppe Archers came back from routing, can now finish killing these Celtic Warriors. That'll be helpful. I've got my picked Peltis throwing javelins at them as well. Just need to get these guys out of my back lines. I don't want them doing any more rear charges, and I'll keep using my cavalry for more rear charges. My opponent's going to go ahead and try and rear charge my Cimmerian noble infantry, but these guys are now wavering and dying very quickly, but I'm also hitting my guys in the back probably with a few of these shots. You can see the morale on even my Cimmerian noble infantry is getting a little bit shaky. My picked Peltis now up to 140 kills, extremely handy unit so far in this game. And my archers are now going to start shooting these hoplites in the back. The battle's definitely in the favor of my opponent. He came infantry heavy, I came more skirmish heavy, and I have yet to make my skirmishers pay off. I'm trying to do so with these Steppe Archers, but having lost 2 of them earlier and a bunch of my other guys along with their ammo certainly isn't going to help. Now my opponent goes all in versus the Cimmerian noble infantry. I charge him from behind with the picked Peltis. This is not enough of these guys to really withstand all these hoplites, but they'll put up a decent fight here for as long as they can. And then these Cimmerian noble infantry are really pounding it out over here versus these Massalian Thuriospheres and some of these other hoplites. So this fight's actually turning out to be fairly close. My opponent's got these Thuriospheres chasing my men. He's starting to lose some hoplites. A couple of these are pretty damaged. The biggest problem, though, is that my archers are starting to run dangerously low on ammo. They've come back and managed to get a fair number of kills, but you know it's going to take a lot to get his men out of this battle. But I'm not going to give up yet. It's still a fight, and I'm going to make a fight of it. I've still got this Cimmerian noble infantry out here that's been beasting it up to 138 kills on them. They are capable units when they get into the right fight. My general just died, though, so obviously very bad. And again, my archer's running low on ammunition. So I'm going to pull away with this cav. I want to just let him come over here and try and fight these Cimmerian nobles. And at that point, I'll try and get some rear charges or use my last couple of arrows to shoot him in the back. All these units are very shaky because they've lost so many men. They're suffering big morale penalties, whereas my men are not suffering that penalty yet, though they are probably suffering a penalty due to army losses. I'm going to keep them in out of formation attack. I don't know if this is a good or bad idea. I needed to get kills, which is why I took them out of formation attack, but it's also bad because your men won't last as long. And I am going to line up a rear charge here immediately against my opponent. He's going to try and turn and face me, but that's going to get my infantry kills, and then it should unbrace him for my cavalry charge. So I do manage to get quite a few kills right here against his hoplites as they turned around trying to stop that charge, but it is also going to kill my steppe lancers. But again, now 202 kills on these nobles, and my opponent's just going to start flooding in here with all of his infantry. And so I've got a wavering steppe lancer and 2 more steppe archers and 1 Cimmeria noble infantry, and you can see there's still 2.5 minutes of battle left. So how is this going to fall? You can see the morale in his guys is wavering. My guys have an encourage aura, which is good. I have a cavalry that's going to get maybe 1 more rear charge if I'm lucky. My opponent's lining up his men to protect his rear. This is fine, but they're thin, and I should be able to charge through them and still get the attack and the rear penalty in his men. That's all I can hope for. I don't have any arrows left. If I did, I would have tried to shoot a flaming round right before I came in. But anyway, I have to just basically try and get the rear charge penalty and see if I can get a chain route. His men start wavering and like, yes, 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 you can do it. Chain route. But then my men start to rout, my steppe lancers, and of course my archers aren't going to last long. I think I managed to get 1 of his units, but the chain route didn't last, unfortunately, because my men didn't last very long. If I would have had just 1 more volley with flaming shot, that might have actually worked. Might have. I don't know if it would, but that would have been cool. So it was almost an epic comeback, but you can see that even at this point, another 1.5 minutes of my Cimmerian noble infantry tanking it out here. And they are going to rack up over 300 kills in this fight. Don't expect them to do this versus sword units. They've been fighting against other spear units here, and they're quite good against other spear units for the most part. I mean, shield bearers, other stuff like that are going to be stronger, but they're not bad infantry for the price. And I think they make it to 300 kills. Maybe they did not. Let's take a look at the results screen. Yeah, 296, so almost 300 kills. But the rest of these Cimmerian noble infantry for the cost didn't really get me what I needed out of them. These couple of archers probably paid for themselves. These 2 probably did not. This picked peltis probably paid for itself. This one did not. These 2 lancers, again, probably did. Maybe not. Can't tell. Obviously, these 2 did not. The young axes were definitely worth it. 78 kills with them is good. These 2 Scythian hoplites were worthless for me. I used them wrong. They should have been support units rather than assault units like I used them. My opponent got quite a bit of return on his Celtic warriors, and his main line of Massalian hoplites and hoplites did well. And most of these Massalian Thurio spears did okay as well. 155 kills on that Tarentine Cav. They got my archers. That's always worth it. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. It was very close. I got more kills, but my opponent had more men, and it just wasn't quite enough. So that's a quick look at the Cimmerians. So these guys are not a power faction. They do have mobile skirmishing that I did not use, though, so probably not the best video to represent them. But use the mobile skirmishing. I would say just ditch the steppe lancers with the upgrades and just bring armored horse archers. And I think you'd be better off as far as cavalry power. They don't really have any charge, but you could at least expend your ammunition and wear down enemy cavalry. And if they had to go into a melee, they would last for a second. You know, maybe bring like 1 citizen or 2 citizen cav and then just some armored horse archers, or citizen cav supported by steppe horse archers. You know, just something like that would probably been better than what I had brought, rather than bringing foot skirmishers. The pick peltis, though, I think is a good foot skirmisher, especially if it's used right. But expensive, and they're a risk-reward unit. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this faction focus. Heir of Carthage, signing out for now.